I'm live. The second time was the charm, guys. So I tried to go live about 2 minutes ago and it didn't work. Anyway, it's working now. So I am listing, just listed this one. I am listing CDs, my next FBA shipment. And the name of this CD of this video is basically the point is it doesn't really matter what types of tools you use, how fast you are, that type of thing. It still takes time. Unless you're going to hire somebody to do the listing for you, which is something that I very well may do at some point, and you're doing it by yourself, it's going to take time. So whether you're doing books or CDs or both or something else, maybe it's other type of media, maybe vinyl, I don't know. But let's say when it comes to books, so I already listed those, all those books, 63 books. And so far, let's see this giant stack. This and this one here, I'm slowly working, that's growing. And then down here, well, I don't want to show you because I've got a bunch of stuff plugged in, but I've got a bunch more in a case, in a crate that I'm working on. And I'm using a scanner. So I'm using this one here, which was like a $20 or so scanner off of Amazon. It says Symbol. And it works fine. I've had it for a little while. And I used to list books without it, which was crazy. I used to type in the ISBN. So there's things like that that will make a big difference, especially if you're doing a lot of shipments, even if they're small, or if you're doing, excuse me, if you're doing larger shipments. It doesn't matter the size. Basically, it's going to make a big difference. It's just a big headache to not use it. Oh, hey Terry, how you doing? Yeah. So things. I mean, when it comes to books, you know, if you're fortunate enough to be able to do small book or CD, whatever, but small FBA shipments that do not get split to multiple warehouses. Let's say you're doing like 30 or 40 books and you can just do that. Then that's going to be great. It's not going to take too much time. And that's how it used to be for me, is I used to not get split shipments and I would just do a lot more smaller shipments and be consistent with that as I got enough books together. And then as I got into CDs, I started to do bigger shipments just because they're smaller and I could send more in. But basically, yeah, with the split shipments, it's even before you get to the point of the split shipments, it's just there's things that it's not as simple as just pointing the scanner and you know, having the item pop up in your software or wherever you're listing. I used to list first couple of years within Seller Central, and then I decided to use a software to deal with or try to make it, streamline it to go faster so that if there were split shipments, I could deal with it, or to know what warehouses they were going to. But now, because of split shipments, I don't actually know what warehouses all of these are going to until I finish it, complete the batch, and then send it off to Amazon. And then once I go into Seller Central, then I find out how many splits I got amongst, you know, I'll have close to 300 items once I'm done. You know, how many split shipments? Last time I had like 5 or I think 6. So that kind of got rid of the point of using the software to know where the item would go, because now I have to do it in private versus live. So that becomes a pain. But basically, you know, for books, it's, you know, it's a little easier because you basically, I mean, you can make your piles of good, very good, that type of thing, which a lot of people like to do. If you have acceptable, if you have like new, so you can keep the condition the same as you scan, and then you can either price it as you go, or if you have a repricer, you can have your repricer take care of it when it goes live, hits the warehouse and goes live, or you can go in there and reprice it after you shift it out. But what do you call it? With a book, there might be something like a little tear. You put a little piece of tape on it or something, or there's something that you need to clean, that type of thing. You know, you can do that stuff ahead of time before you list, or you can do it while you're listing. But regardless, it's still, you know, going to be something you're going to have to do. And then let's see, what else for books? That's really it. I mean, you shouldn't have a book to list that's really has too many problems, like too much, you know, underlining or writing inside the pages, or ripped pages, or missing pages, or really torn covers, or things like that. I mean, you shouldn't be listing or trying to list that type of stuff. So that's not really the point. But there's going to be little things. But then when it comes to CDs, what I like to do is replace the cases before I list, which makes sense. So I try to replace the cases and get them. If there's any that are really dirty, try to clean them up. Sometimes I miss one. You know, there's like maybe some sticker residue or something like that, and I'll have to do it while I'm listing. So I have Goo Gone, and I have my you know, towels and everything, so that I can just clean it off real quick. But that's another thing to do. And then let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh, so so with some of these, you have to what I do is I wrap them in what is that? Saran wrap, plastic wrap, the ones that are in digipack cases. So the ones that are like have the paper cases, because I don't want to put the sticker right on there. I'd rather wrap it up, and also they open up and could lose the disc and that sort of thing. So it just makes sense to do that. And that is not a high percentage of them, but you know, it's a probably, I don't know, 5 to 10%. So that slows it down a little bit. You know, the basic, I wrote it down here, which is kind of funny. Scan, right? So scanning. So you scan first, and then you sticker. So what I'll do is, if there's another thing with CDs, is I'll use these transparent stickers. You can see it here. They're just circular stickers. And you can buy them at Staples or whatever, Avery stickers. And I put them here if the case, like this one's not opening. But sometimes I'll just hold it like this, and I'll go like that, and it'll just pop open real easy. Sometimes they're just flopping open. And so I'll close it with that to make sure it doesn't open when it, you know, mostly when it gets to the warehouse and when it's shipped out, that type of thing. So it don't lose the disc, or no one gets any ideas at the warehouse, try to steal anything. And then, what do you call it? So then I'll put the sticker on it. Clearly, I'll put the FBA sticker. So scan it, sticker maybe twice, usually only once. Then I'll stack it over here to the side. And then once it's all over, then I'll go into Amazon Seller or to Seller Central, and then I'll see how many splits I have. And then unfortunately, I'll have to go through it and find all of them and put them together. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Maybe if I'm entirely focused on it, maybe an hour or so. Just depends on the order. Usually they're not in any sort of order, so you got to kind of hunt and peck for them, which is what I tried to avoid before. But now with trying to get less split shipments, instead of getting 10 or 11 split shipments, I'm getting like 5 or 6, so about half. And it's worth it to pay less for shipping so far. And then once you get them all into groups, then I got to find the right size boxes, or cut the boxes down to the right size. Get them all packed up. The more shipments there are, the more warehouses there are, the more time it takes. And then I have to physically take it to FedEx, which is there's one about 2 minutes from me, so it's pretty close. But, you know, it takes time. Okay, Terry says, how do you always have the right size boxes for all the split shipments, or do you resize the boxes? So sometimes I resize, but also what I do is I have, there's a variety of dumpsters, of lovely recycling dumpsters in the area. And I found about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 actually. There's a 4th one. It's a pretty big one, so it's only if the stuff's on top, because I don't want to actually jump in there. So there's about 4 of them that are good. There's about 2 or 3 that are the best, and I find all different types of box sizes, and Also, I find a lot of free packing material. Some of it's bubbles, like the bubble material, and then some of it's the like craft type paper, the thicker paper, which is awesome. I think it's even better than the bubble wrap, but either one. So that's part of it. Is I find a lot of variety of sizes. So sometimes, I have the right size. Frequently, I have the right size or really close. I do the same thing with eBay. When I do the CD lots or any other types of lots, more than one or two. Well, it depends, but I'll have because I have a bunch of envelopes as well for that stuff. But yeah, often what happens is I have to make the box smaller or fill it up a little bit with some bubble wrap or craft paper or whatever to make sure that the stuff doesn't move around. I mean, ideally, I can cut the box a little bit smaller so that I don't have to deal with I'm blanking right now. So that way, right? So I don't have to have it be so large and heavy and that type of thing. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? So it's about 6:15 here. I wanted to make a video just to let you guys know, well, just to make a video, hopefully about something that's interesting, and let you know what's going on. But it's probably not going to be that long because the family is going to come back and we're going to have to eat dinner and everything and put the kids to bed. Another thing that I do that I've been doing with CDs and books when I pull them out of Gaylords is I've been putting a sticker on them, so as you can see, or rather a Post-it, and I put the price and then I put the condition. And any of them that I have that need to be resurfaced, I put a little RS for resurface, and then I put, if there's any cracks, I'll say crack or whatever, that I have to replace it. I'll make a pile in separate piles. But I've been thinking about whether it makes sense, because I don't use a repricer. So if I don't put the price, then that means when I go to list it, I have to look up the item, which takes a lot more time to figure out the price. Or I just put like a $99.99, $100 price on there, and then after I ship them off, then I can go on to Seller Central and I can change the prices. But the thing is, I still have to look it up. So it slows it down a little bit as I'm scanning, because if I just find one I'm like, that's good, I can just put it in the pile and keep scanning and then price it later. So it slows down my ability to get through the Gaylords of CDs, not books so much, because I don't find as many, but I find so many CDs. I find close to 200 in a Gaylord, around there on average. So that I put a sticker, and that takes a little extra time times 180 or 200 CDs, but it enables me to just price it. Although the other thing I just thought of right now, of course, is maybe it makes more sense to price it when it hits the warehouse or when it's about to hit the warehouse, because then that's where the prices are at that moment, versus if I scanned it 5 days ago and put a price on it, and now I'm listing it, or a week ago, and then I have to ship it out, and it's going to take anywhere from, if it's a really close warehouse, maybe a day or two to a week for it to go live. So we're talking up to 2 weeks in between, or longer, in between when I initially scanned it and then when it goes live. So the chances of that price being as viable is smaller, even though although despite that, I still have I get a lot of sales when they hit the warehouse. So I'm convincing myself again that maybe it makes sense about what I'm doing, because the thing is, I like to be able to just be done with the pricing once. Like, I'm doing the pricing when I'm scanning it and I'm looking at the app. The great thing about the app is it has all the information I need on one screen, versus trying to use the website, Amazon website. Not all the information is on one screen. I only have the current sales rank. I don't have the rolling sales rank. I don't have the keep information right there. How many sales in the last 6 months? I don't have a quick little screen, a little glance to be able to see how many other offers there are. So it's I'm kind of convincing myself that maybe I should continue to price it, just because it takes longer to have to deal with pricing it when it goes live. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's see. So I listed all of the books I had except for today. Okay. Today I went to a thrift store, and what do you call it? I got a couple things. I got about 10 CDs and 2 books for FBA and a couple of VHS tapes. So that's going to be added at the end once I'm through all of these CDs. But I already went through and listed 63 books, and those were from thrift store run that I made a couple weeks ago or so. And then the library sale I went to, 3 weeks ago? So the thrift store, this does not include inbound shipping, but that one, the potential revenue was $126. I don't remember exactly how much I spent. I think it was probably $30-ish, but that takes into consideration the cost of goods, so it doesn't matter. So $126, except for inbound shipping. I don't know how much that's going to be. And then the library sale, potential profit, excluding inbound shipping, is $298. So that was $424 between those two, just for the 63 books. So not too bad. I didn't have I had a couple of higher priced books, but not a bunch. But still, it's profit. Profit is profit, right? So that's $425, and that's including the cost of goods. So it's only inbound shipping. So shipping 63 books, it's going to depend on where they're going and how many splits, but probably, I mean, hopefully less than like $30 or $40. So the profits might be just under $400. Of course, that's where all the prices are currently, but regardless, that's how it was with the books. Ron asks, my average sale price for books is $16.89. Is that good? Yes, that is good. Trying to stay under 2 million sales rank, is that a good strategy? In general, yes. For FBA, for Amazon, I would say don't just get hung up on the sales rank when it comes to for anything, but let's talk about books. So for books, don't just get hung up on the sales rank, but I would say, and you're talking about only FBA, right, Ron? Not doing any merchant fulfilled, because there's some merchant fulfilled that if you find it and it's ranked 3.5 million and there's only like 2 copies or 1 copy and it's legitimately selling for like $50 or more, and you see sales maybe a couple a year or something like that, and that's what it's selling for, so there's a demand, it's just very slow. Okay, FBA, then merchant fulfilled would make sense. But in some of those instances, FBA makes sense as well, especially because if there's not already an FBA offer for something that has a higher rank, like a 2 million to 3 million rank, then it still could be worth being sent in. But you need to look, are you using like FBA Scan or one of the scanning apps versus Amazon app, the seller, what is it called? The Amazon seller app? Are you using one of the paid ones? Because if you are, then you can get a lot more data out of that. I'm not sure if you are. But anyway, so yeah, I would say in general, sure, under 2 million. And 1689 is great. Also, what is your sell through? Okay, FBA Scan, yeah. So their average sales rank is really helpful. You could compare that side by side to their current sales rank. So if the current book sales rank is 1 million, and well, I don't know, I'm just completely making up an example, but if the current rank is 2 million, but the average rank is 800,000, then it's probably going to sell, soon, because it's averaging a much better sales rank than the current sales rank. So I would say yes. Roughly, some people like to say under 1 million, but if you see a book that's ranked over 3 million, I would say you're not going to want to see any offers below 20 bucks. You're going to want to see $20 and up for sure if you want to consider those. If you're not going to do merchant fulfilled, because you're going to want to make sure that there's enough money in there to make it worth sending in and waiting for it to sell. Hey, Papa. Papa. Yeah. So the video will be ending shortly because my kids got here, but I'm sure they'll be bugging me. But yeah, I would say yes. So yes, that's a good idea. But take into consideration the average sales rank, take into consideration how many sales there have been the last 6 months, which is that number next to the sales rank, and then how many offers there are overall. Number one, how many FBA offers? If there's none, then that's looking really good. If there's not very many merchant fulfilled offers, if it's around 2 million or so, or a little higher. Oh, yeah, they're a handful, but I do love them. And then also the number of merchant fulfilled. So, you know, if there's a lot of, and I would say by a lot, like a 2 million ranked book, if there's more than 10, then you probably want to stay away from that. And if the merchant fulfilled prices are not like at least like 10 bucks or something, probably higher, then you're probably not going to want to mess with that one. You want to see higher stuff, and it's like a different skill set to be able to sell $2 million books versus books ranked consistently, the average sales rank under or way under 1 million. Like let's say, you know, 800,000 and under, 500,000 and under. Those are different than the 2 million ranked books for sure, unless that 2 million rank is kind of weird, and then you look at the Keepa and it's getting more sales than it seems to indicate. But yeah, and 1689 is great. So that says to me that you're looking for higher priced books and they're selling. So the closer, I mean, I don't know what my own book only average sale price is, but the last few months, my overall average sale price has been like 1160 or so. Although this month it's higher. I just looked at that and it's actually much higher. I've had some bigger sales, a larger quantity of bigger sales this month for some reason. Hey. Ooh. Wow. Yeah. Live. Say hi, Mira. Come here. Say hi, Diego. Say hi. Okay, déjame terminar, okay? What's sell through? How do you get it? Oh, so what I mean is, so the number I like to look at is monthly sell through rate. So what percentage of the inventory you had for that month did you sell? So your inventory clearly is going to fluctuate throughout the month, but let's say, roughly, I don't know what is your inventory? Hi, baby. Hi. Whoa, look at that. All right. Oh, cool. Okay. All right. Go. Say hi to me, okay? Close the door, baby. Okay. So, do you know what your your inventory level is right now? So, well, yeah. Oh, you have a lot. Okay. So 1387. So how many have you sold? So is that pretty consistent? You're around like 1400 or 1300. Do you kind of stay around that level because you keep sending in new stuff and then you keep selling? So anyway, regardless, so let's take 1,000 inventory. So your sell-through rate for the month would be 89 sold so far this month. Okay. So Okay, so then that would mean, is it 1387 plus 89? That means you had 1,476 items at the beginning of the month, roughly. And then since September 1st and through today so far, you've sold 89, right? So that's 1,476 you had on day one, roughly again, but probably. And so let's see, times just forgot the numbers. 1476. So that, yeah, it's been slow. So that's about a 6% sell-through rate for the month so far. But of course, we have five. What is it? 26, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 full more days. We have a little bit left today, but 5 full more days. So you're going to get more sales. So let's say you get 100 sales, then it's going to be a little bit higher. Your sell-through rate would be. So for instance, good question, Perry. I don't have the answer to that. There's so many reports you can run in Seller Central that there might be that makes it easier than the way that I do it, which is very not exact. I'm not sure, but that's a good question. Maybe ask that in one of the Facebook groups, or you can, if you feel bold, you can call Amazon. If you're feeling lucky, you can call them or email them, I guess. But yeah, it has been slow. So 89 sold. Yeah. So right now, as of now, you're about 6%. But if you sell like 100 or so, then you make, what would that be? So 10% would be 147. That would be way more. But yeah. So for me personally, when I first started, my sell-through rate was like around 5%. I started in 2014 with my first shipment, but I didn't really start selling very much until 2015. And then 2016, my sell-through rate was still really small, even though I had a big inventory. I would say my sell-through rate on average was like 5 to 8%. But now I've been able to jump it up to around 30% per month. So last month, oh geez, what did I sell last month? 200. Let me check. Oh, that's not the right one. Real quick, I'm going to check. I believe it was 245, but let me make sure. Whoops, I was way off. So 344 sales I had in August, and I had like a little bit over 1,000 items, maybe at most in August, not much more. I had a couple of big shipments hit in August, the very end, so then my inventory jumped. But roughly, I was around 30%, maybe a little bit more. So as of whoops. As of this month, I have, so the 25th with 5 days to go, I have 213 sales. So definitely slower this month. But let me see how much. Okay, active Amazon, I have 848. So 848 plus, what is it? 213. 848 plus 213. 1,061 times, because I haven't had any other shipments hit since the very end of August. This is not going well. Plus times 0.82. Yeah, so I'm about 20%. So I've sold about 20% this month, which is way less than I did last month, because it's just been slower. It's funny because I don't remember September being that much slower. I remember October being slower for books, and then it picks up in November and does really well in December, even just with books before I did CDs. Sorry. So, I mean, I'm not as happy as I would be with selling 30%, of course. Although we still have 5 days to go. So in 5 days, what's 5 days? What is it? Well, that'll be Monday. So on Monday I can do a video and we can talk about September sales and see where we are with sell-through rates and how many items we sold. Excuse me. But Terry says inventory of 324 and sold 3083 this month. His ASP is huge, 3370, because Terry doesn't play around. He only goes for those those big books or those high-priced books, which is awesome. See, you don't need a big inventory if you have a much higher average sale price. So if I had a average sale price of $33 and with 213 sales, let's see, I would have sold $7,000 this month instead of $3,000. So this month so far, 213 sales, and my average sale price is $14.36. Whoops. Which is way higher than it was last month. That's let's see. Yeah, that's almost $3 higher. Terry says, "Yeah, but I still feel broke." Well, it depends. You know how much money you need to survive, and then have some left to feel not feel broke. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's situation is different, right? So, yeah. I mean, if I were to sell about 1,000 CDs, well, no, just 1,000 items a month, then based upon the last couple of months, this month is for some reason I've been selling some bigger ticket items, but I would be getting paid probably over $5,000 from, I mean, before taxes, of course, but which is about 60 grand a year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not making 1,000 sales. I made 400 sales in, was it July? And then it went down to 345, and now it's down to 213. It'll probably, hopefully, be up. Let's see. Hopefully, I'll hit 250 for the month. But it should. I don't know. We'll see how October goes. I remember October being slow for books, but I mean, maybe I didn't have the right books in a couple of years ago. But hopefully, it picks up after October 1st, because even though since September 1st, Halloween has been in the air. Everywhere you go, there's Halloween decorations 2 months before the holiday. But hopefully October 1st, people start to really think about the holidays and start buying stuff. The early shoppers, people are proud of themselves to get their Christmas shopping done in October and November and not wait the last week before Christmas. So hopefully that happens, but I don't know. I mean, I've been through this cycle a couple times, but last year I did really well with CDs in December. Let me see what I did. Whoops. Look at that. It's not that great. So in December of last year, 2017, I sold 419 items. 233 were CDs. 183 books, guys. Oh, jeez. 2 video games, and I don't know what home entertainment is. Oh, that was probably a VCR. So my average sales price was $13. But then it shows me same date range 1 year ago. So that would be 2016. I sold 557. So what happened with that was I had a lot more in inventory. I don't know how many I had in inventory last year, but yeah, that's really just motivated me right now to get a lot more in. What I've wanted to do is I just made another order for next week for 4 Gaylords, 2 books, and 2 CDs. This past month, I got my last Gaylord shipment a month ago. Yeah, a month ago this week, 4 weeks ago. And it took me way longer than it should have. But part of that reason was because I really wanted to figure out the most efficient and fastest way that I could get through the CD Gaylords. And I think I've come up with a pretty efficient way that enables me to, within about 2.5, 3 hours, I can sort a Gaylord. And then the scanning takes longer because, if I'm going to price it out, put a sticker on it, but that'll probably take about double that time. And then the CDs that I'm left with as I'm going through it, I've tried to come up with a way to be able to just quickly look at the cover, and a lot of them I already know, oh, that one's not worth anything individually. That's going to go into a lot, or I'm going to sell it at a flea market or whatever it may be. Then there's some that I have no clue what they are. They might be good on eBay individually. I don't know what kind of music it is. So those would go separately. So anyway, so a way that I can do that fast so that once I'm done scanning, I'm not left with 1,500 CDs that I still have to go through for eBay and flea market, or however I'm going to end up getting rid of those. Ron says I can get Gaylords for $55 in Long Beach. Books, not CDs. Let me know if you're interested. Okay, Ron, thanks. Yeah, I'm ordering them for $65 each. I'm going to ask the guy next week how many I would need to order to get a break in the price. And it might be way more than I can handle. It might be like 10 or something, but we'll see. All right, Ron, take care. So the other thing, so that's the thing about the CDs. What I'm thinking is 2 things. If I do it by myself, I could definitely do a Gaylord a week from Monday sorting to next Monday being have it being sorted, scanned, and shipped, all FBA shipped, and all the rest of them organized, categorized how I need to, so that I can quickly find them to do either flea market stuff or eBay, whatever it may be. That would be me by myself. Also considering trying to hire somebody to help me to do 2 Gaylords a week of CDs, so I can double my efforts, and I could sort a CD, a Gaylord with somebody in probably half the time, so maybe like an hour and a half, and then start scanning and have them, I don't know, do something. I'd like to teach them to scan, but that'll take some time. But anyway, yeah. Train my 6-year-old. She's really helpful. They both are, but their attention span's not so great. They like that. He loves to stack CDs, move CDs from one place to the other. My 3-year-old. So they're kind of helpful, but it's, we'll see. I don't know how much she can't scan, but maybe I can throw her in the Gaylord and she can give me CDs. Figure out something. Because with what I was thinking to do was to hire somebody, even just working like 10 hours a week or something, to help me try to get through Gaylords faster. So that's the first thing with CDs. And then the second thing are the book CDs, book Gaylords. And as you know, my supplier will take away the duds that I've tossed into an empty Gaylord and filled up the Gaylord. This time he's going to take off. I have a almost full Gaylord of books that I just cannot deal with for eBay or anything like that, unless I had like a bookstore, which I don't have. So those are going to get taken away. So what I'm trying to see is I want to kind of time myself to see how quickly I can get through a Gaylord by myself, sorting it. Because the thing about the Gaylords is, I mean, the books are, is I can quickly, I can pull it out and scan it and then decide, okay, if it's no good for FBA or merchant fulfilled, which I'm probably not going to do much of that, I'm going to toss it into the thing, or I'm going to keep it to try to do an eBay lot or something like that if it's really makes sense. Otherwise, it goes over there. So most of them ended up going into the empty Gaylord, and a certain percentage I kept, like some kids stuff, and a few good titles, nonfiction titles. That's the thing that you'll find, like some nonfiction titles that just I mean, maybe if I had like a bookstore, maybe somebody would buy it, maybe, or sell it at a flea market, maybe. But even then, it seems outdated. It doesn't seem like it would be a popular title. Versus I see some nonfiction titles that look interesting. Not necessarily, well, sometimes interesting to me to read, but mostly not. But just look like they would be more interesting to people in general. So I can either try to sell those at the flea market, or I can make put a lot together. I'm still debating that whole thing. I'm trying to keep that to a minimum, and thankfully there's not that many of those. Most of them end up going into the extra Gaylord, and they're going to end up being recycled or whatever, or shredded or whatever they are. And a lot of them, I'm sorry, but they're kind of done. Either they're in bad condition, or the topic is just, I don't see too many people. It's outdated, replaced with new information. Sometimes they're really old textbooks, really old, not necessarily encyclopedia, but maybe like a dictionary or travel type thing. And if there's no interest on Amazon, then there's probably not any interest on eBay individually. So yeah, so they just go over there. So I ordered 2 Gaylords of books just to see how quickly I could get through them. And then if I can get through those CDs, within a week or so, that'll be good. But anyway, is there anything else I wanted to mention? I sold 2 items merchant fulfilled this past week. I sold a CD for $9.99, which isn't bad. And then I sold a vinyl record. Let's see. So I sold a CD, 98.9 KWJZ Smooth Jazz Sampler, Volume 11 for $9.99. And then I sold, it is Stevie Ray Vaughan, a vinyl record called In Step. Oh, I don't know what year it was from. I forgot. But I had that one listed for a long time. And the lowest price right now is actually collectible, $39.78. But I sold mine for $29.99, merchant fulfilled. So that was a nice sale. That's been sitting in my hallway closet with some other vinyl stuff I have listed and some books, merchant fulfilled. So whatever, it just sits there. And, it's nice to get those random sales. Merchant fulfilled, it's kind of similar to eBay. So all you do is when it sells, you go to the, I don't know what it's called, what is this? Manage orders page, and then you just ship it out. So it's the same thing as eBay. So basically, I'm going to package it up first, just in case it's the vinyl. I don't have vinyl boxes, so I had to like cut a box in half and kind of like wrap it around, and I put bubble wrap, and it should be okay, as long as nobody throws it across the room or anything, or even then it would be okay, I think, unless somebody tries to bend it. But it shouldn't. It should be fine. So you package it up and then weigh it, and then just ship it. I shipped it first class, or I guess it was first class. It was like $3 and change. The CD was just $266, media mail. And then I have envelopes. So for the CDs, I have these envelopes, small CD size, as you can tell. Fits in there. I got bubble wrap. And I just wrap it real easy. Just wrap a little piece of bubble wrap around it, stick it in there, package it up. And there's a packaging slip. And so that one you just print out too with the label and just stick it in there. That's all. I mean, you have to have the boxes or the envelopes and bubble wrap and tape and all that. But, you know, that's not too big of a deal. So, yeah, that's how it works. So, I also sold at the library sale I went to a couple weeks ago. I made a video about it. I was driving home. The one that I going to potentially profit close to $300 off of, a little bit less with inbound shipping. I sold a Better Homes decorating book from 1968. It was a hardcover, had 5-ring binder, an old one in this green cover. And one second, Michael. And I bought it for $1 because all the hardcovers were $1, and it sold for $19.99. So after all of the shipping cost, it was free shipping. So shipping cost, and then which was like $3 and change, and then the eBay fees, which is 12% now for media. And then PayPal charges 3% plus 30 cents. So it's 15% plus 30 cents plus your shipping. So it was $11 profit. So $1 into $11. That was good. And that was one of those that stood out to me. And again, you know, FBA sellers aren't going to bother with it, but I noticed it and looked it up and, you know, made it quick. Not that quick, but only took a couple weeks to sell. So not too bad. $11. Michael asks, are you reselling full time? So this is the only thing I do in terms for income. So in that respect, but not full time because I have, I watch my son a couple of days a week when he's not being watched by his grandmother. My wife works full time. So, so I've been watching the kids since they were born. My daughter's 6 now, so she's in school. So, I get, you know, part of the day to work. I have a couple days a week, 3 days a week that I can work, up until I need to pick my daughter up from school. So no, it's not full time, but it's close. No, it's not close. It's probably like, you know, all told, I'm probably doing like 30 hours or so. I don't really know exactly, but roughly, you know, I work most of the day at it, but not all day and not every day. So no, not full time. Full time would be pretty awesome. I mean, when my son starts going to school next year, preschool, pre-K, whatever, then both of them will be in school. So that'll be 5 days a week that they'll be in school. She'll be in school till 2 and he'll be in school till around that time. So that'll enable me to work a lot more, 5 days a week. And then the afternoons I work a little bit. So yeah, not a traditional full-time. Full-time would be exhausting. Yeah, 40 plus hours. I mean, that's why I like the idea of finding somebody to help me. You know, I really like the idea of paying somebody. I was doing the math with the CDs and I was like, well, I can make consistently over $1,000 in profit after the cost of the Gaylord, which is $225. Right around $1,000 more sometimes if there's more valuable stuff, and there was in the last one that I sent in. This one, there's some good stuff too, but I should make over that. But you know, if I pay somebody, the minimum here is $10.50. So if I pay them 10 hours a week, about $100 a week or so, to get me through 2 a week, then okay, maybe 1 second, okay, and it's definitely worth it. Anyway, guys. I gotta go. My daughter's in tears for some reason. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll make another video tomorrow. And as always, keep booking.